What's up YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Darkrai in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun meme movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section. If you enjoy these videos, they help you out, drop a like and let's get into it. So I've had a few people actually request me to do a Darkrai guide, and it is quite an interesting Pokemon. It did obviously get a big nerf on its main move, Dark Void, in the past. However, it still is a very, very good Pokemon. So its best stats here obviously are its special attack and speed. It's a special, speedy special attacker. Now, it's got the abilities Bad Dream. So basically, once you put the opponent to sleep, they're going to lose 8 for their maximum health at the end of each turn. So it stacks well with sleeping moves. In the past, it was very, very good for that, but obviously it's not as good. But there are still ways to get it to actually work. So let's start on some more single sort of sets here. We'll mention too that a lot of the single sets work well in doubles play as well, because they just form great synergies in both sort of like environments. But I'll get to that in a sec. So the first set we're going to have a look at here is going to be a Nasty Plot set, kind of Darkrai's bread and butter. So Nasty Plot is a great mover. It's already got very big special attack already. So you're going to be boosting its special attack by 2 stages. Dark Pulse is a really, really good dark type move. You're fast, you've got 80 base power, and also on top of that, you've also got a 20% chance to flint. So you may even get 2 hits in before the opponent can even do anything. And with such high special attack, that's going to be a lot of damage. It also gets Sludge Bomb, which is probably the best coverage move that it has, in my opinion, due to its type weaknesses. Just being a dark type, so you can hit fairy types, which is very, very important. And also, you can make it get around its type weaknesses with Terra Poison, which is easily the best Terra type for Darkrai out of all of them. Now, Ice Beam is a really, really good coverage moves, just for any ground type Pokemon if you are to go Terra Poison, which you will if you want to use this and get the most out of it on a team. So with the EVs, they're pretty straightforward. Max special attack and max speed, Tib and nature. And just put the last little bit in defense or special defense, whatever's going there. Items, you can run quite a few different items on Darkrai. It sort of depends on the set you want to do or your team. There's quite a few good sweeping items for it. But I would definitely recommend Terra Poison, because this allows you to hit fairy type Pokemon. It allows you to change into a very, very good defensive Terra. So Bug's not going to be very effective against you, which is good. Same with Fairy and same with Fighting. It's perfect, right? It covers absolutely everything. And then you can have a powerful Sludge Bomb too. And say if a ground type comes in, oh, well, you can just hit them with Ice Beam. If a Psychic type comes in, oh, you can just hit them with Dark Pulse. So it's pretty good all round for sure. This Pokemon is, especially in singles, is a very, very good late game sweeper. It's great at just cleaning up the rest of the battle, and there's a lot of partners you can use for that. And it does a lot of damage still. It's not only good for that, it can do like a heap of damage and cause a lot of ruckus. So that would probably be the most standardish set I would see on there. As for items, let's suggest a few items here. I put Black Glasses on there. You can increase Dark Pulse's damage even more. You can put stuff like Life Orb on there. That's fine as well. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that at all. That could easily work. If you're playing specifically singles play, like say a Smogon rules or anything specific, highly specific play there, I would probably put Boots on there, because you don't want to have a sticky web and you don't want to take repeated entry hazards and wear Darkrai down. So that's probably a good item for there as well. If you have any like variants that are like substitute or something like that, you might be able to put Leftovers on there. That could work too. Another good one's Expert Belt too. I was just about to say that, because you've got a fairly good amount of coverage here. So Expert Belt is going to give you a 1.2 times. So it can hide your item too. So they don't always know what you've got. So a lot of the time, unless you reveal Nasty Plot right away, you might be able to feign it as a Choice Specs or Choice Scarf user to begin with, because it is very fast and is quite a hard hitter too. And it can work with those choice items well, which I'll get to in a sec. So that's not a bad item for it too. I probably wouldn't recommend any like defensive items like berries and stuff like that. It doesn't really have the bulk for that. Another one you could do on there is Assault Vest too, but obviously you'd have to forego Nasty Plot and give it another coverage move. So I'm not so big on that. Nasty Plot is really good for it. So I would go with one of those items for sure there. Absolutely. You could have Citrus Berry as well, or you could even have leftovers on like something with Substitute. But then with Substitute, like Sub Nasty Plot, you'd have to give up something. So if I was to give something up, I would give up Ice Beam, because at least you can hit a ground type with a dark type move, right? And then you could give us leftovers. And then it'd be on a sub, and it have that protection as well. You know, at least you've got protection from priority moves and things like that. It does lack priority moves, except on the physical side, which you can technically run Sucker Punch on there. It does get Sucker Punch, but if you were to run that, I would run Naive Nature. Now, there is no reason really for you to use Sucker Punch unless you're finishing a Pokemon off on like, 1 or 2 health. You could give it EVs and attack, but then you're sort of missing out on its best stat there. So I probably wouldn't. I'd do something like that. It's really only to get rid of Pokemon that have a little bit of health outside that. If you want a bit of surprise and a bit of priority, you could do that too. So that's something you use. Let's check out the next set. So our next set here is going to be a Choice set. So you can run a good Choice Scarf and Choice Spec set. It does actually have access to Trick as well, which is pretty good. So you can lock in, say if you're playing singles, for example, or doubles. Say if there's a Pokemon that's really annoying, that's a support Pokemon, and you want to trap them into a choice item to completely, mess their strategy up and make that Pokemon virtually irrelevant for most of the battle. This is a good Pokemon to do that, right? So you can trick the item away and trick them Choice Scarf. Choice Scarf is probably the most less volatile item to give away too, because if you accidentally give away a Choice Specs to a special attacker and that turn they did press a special attacking move instead of the support move, it might be a bit more of a problem, but still locking them into one move can be useful too. So probably like Choice Scarf is good. So we've got Trick, Dark Pulse, same moves as before. You could have Terra Dark as well and the reason I say that is because you lock yourself into Terra Dark Pulse, and that can be effective, more effective probably than Terra Poison Sludge Bomb Choice Scarf, because at least you can get flinches, and I feel like it's going to be, overall it could be better. And if you're going to bring in, if you lock yourself into Sludge Bomb, for example, a Choice Scarf or a Steel type can easily swap in. At least Pokemon won't get a free swap in there. Even if it's going to be not very effective damage, it's going to be some damage, which is usually better. So that's how I would run it anyway. Sort of EVs, special attack and speed. I put Modest on there for Choice Scarf. Look, if you're worried about getting outsped by a faster Pokemon with Choice Scarf, you can always do Timid as well. So it's sort of up to you there. So that's how I'll go about running a Nasty Plot set and a Choice Scarf set. Now I've got some more doubles focus sets and strategies to use, Darkrai. Not that, I don't think Darkrai's been in VGC for a while now, so I think it's Sword and Shield, but if they do bring it back, or if you just play doubles, you can give this a shot. So let's check it out. So, this set is based around using Darkrai's Dark Void. Now, as I mentioned before, and as you probably know already, Dark Void, there was a heavy nerf to it. So, it's only 50% accuracy now, and it hits both for the opponents. It was a very, very strong move in doubles. Let's be real. Like, it put both Pokemon to sleep. So, there are ways to increase it, though. And I am going to show you some strategies that you can actually use Dark Void for. So the first item you could have on there would be Wide Lens, which gives a 1.1 times boost. So essentially what that means is you get a 10% boost of Dark Void. So, you've got Dark Void being at 50, and then you get a little bit from that. It's not much, but coupled with another strategy that I'm going to show you, it's actually a fair bit of accuracy, which is really, really good. And that's what you want, right? So you've got that, and I'm going to show you that in a sec. So this set is Dark Void, Dark Pulse, Focus Blast, and Ice Beam. I've got Terra Poison on this too, and I've got Focus Blast because I'm running Wide Lens. You could easily have Ice Beam on there too. I just like that being able to hit Steel types. It's quite, and I'll mention that on these sets too. it's not a bad move to have on there either if you want to hit Steel-type Pokemon. Wouldn't recommend it on the Choice set because locking yourself into Focus Blast can be a disaster, so more so on the Nasty Plot set. Just thought I'd mention that. So this set here is pretty similar, but we're making use of Dark Void. So a good way to get Dark Void... I'm just going to delete this one for a sec. A good way to get Dark Void to land is to have a partner that is Sableye. So what Sableye can do with Prankster, I haven't done a Sableye guide, but I will. You can use a Gravity combination, right? So Gravity for 5 turns gives you a 1.6 times % in accuracy, right? So you've already got that 55 times 1.67 equals 91% accuracy. So it'll have a 91% accuracy Dark Void, which isn't all that bad. It's not perfect, but 91 is pretty damn good, and you're going to land that a lot of the time. You're at least going to put one Pokemon to sleep, so it's not a bad little core to use, and that will put them to sleep. And then you could maybe give Sableye. I know this is mostly about Darkrai, but I'd like to do a specific set here for it. Then you could give it some other like interesting things. You might be able to set up like light screens or something like that, or you could go Helping Hand. You know, there's other little strategies that could be used together. Terra Steel wouldn't be too bad on Sableye either. I don't think that gets Wide Guard. No, it doesn't get Wide Guard. But anyway, you get the idea. So 91% accuracy, Dark Void. Great, right? So that's a little trick that you can actually use with Sableye for sure, and that'll help out Darkrai immensely. Also, it's going to help out your Focus Blast too. Focus Blast that'll be like 100% accuracy, I'd say. And then you've got Sludge Bomb and Dark Pulse. So there you go. There is a strategy to use with Darkrai. Obviously, there is a bit of a weakness there that they're both weak to Fairy type Pokemon, but you could essentially go Terra Poison first, and then Sableye could do that if you're expecting something like Hyper Voice, you know. So that could be an option as well. As long as the Gravity, of course, is set up. Let's check out... I know I haven't got to the other set yet, but while we're on this topic, there are quite a few Gravity users here. So we've got like Blissey, you know, Clefable. That's not too bad. There's actually quite a few, and not a bad one here as well. Now that I'm looking at it, Iron Crown has got Gravity, so at least that's a Steel type. That might be able to, deal with some of those Fairy type Pokemon at the same time, because it has like Tachyon Cutter and stuff. So that could be good. I've done a Iron Crown guide, so that's not a bad one as well. Just for that, I just wanted to mention that for this set. But 91% is pretty good with the wide lens. It gives it some good accuracy. I'm pretty sure I got the calculations for that right, but I know it's quite high in the 90s. So there you go. That's what I would go for with a double set. Now, some partners, as well as Sableye. Let me give you some partners and stuff too. So a good partner as well, of course, is going to be Zamazenta. Zamazenta actually... is great because of its typing. It can get rid a lot of Darkrai's counters, especially being that Steel typing. That's going to be good. Even Zacian. Zacian's very, very good as well. So they both make good partners. I've done sort of some guides on those already, so you can check that out. So that's more for doubles. For singles, I would say anything that's like Ting Lu and stuff like that. And when I mentioned like any spikes, especially for singles, any entry has is like spikes and stuff like that. Skarmory, Ting Lu, they're going to make very, very good partners because Darkrai does like chip damage and like little bits of damage that can come in mid to late game and just like kind of clean up. So any Pokemon like that is going to work very, very well. Even like Samurai Hizarain, that's another good one. Just thinking on the spot there. With a Ceaseless Edge, that's not too bad. That's going to work well. And you've got Landorus as well. That wouldn't make a bad partner at the same time. So there's quite a few that you can do. And Gliscor, that'd be another one. Great Task. Iron Valiant. Iron Valiant would be good for singles and doubles, as I'm just thinking about it now. So Iron Valiant, that's a good one. Just typing and covering each other's weaknesses. So I like that. But yeah, that's sort of set there. Let's have a look at the next one. So this next set obviously is a lot more gimmicky. So we've got Dark Void. Now you could use that Sableye strategy I showed you. And then we've got Dark Void Snarl. Snarl's going to boost its special attack with Throat Spray. Terra Ice Blizzard. And then we've got Dream Eater as well. Now, I would use this. You probably think, oh, Dream Eater's trash. Well, yeah, it is. But you could use it with something like Gothitelle. So Gothitelle and Shadow Tag. So you could trap them in with Shadow Tag. And that way they wouldn't be able to swap outside of, Pokemon that can get around that. Or Arena Trap is alright too, but it's like Dugtrio is not very bulky and it doesn't have the greatest support move, so I wouldn't recommend that. Gothitelle is a very good Shadow Tag Pokemon, and you could go from there. So, and this also gets Gravity too, so you could trap them in and Gravity. So that's another suggestion with Gothitelle. It gets Helping Hand. I don't think it gets Life Dew, but it gets some really, really great support moves for you to use. I haven't done a Gothitelle guide yet, but that's an example of what you could do there. And then you could have, I don't know, you could even bring in like Alola Ninetales. You could have Alola Ninetales. It's also a good, I'm just going to type in Ninetales. That's also a good counter for Darkrai as well. Except when Darkrai does Terra Poison, then that's a good way to get around Ninetales. But you could have that set up the Snow initially and make Darkrai even more bulkier with its Terra Ice there and make its Blizzard always hit. So that's another way to do that as well. Let's have a look at some more gimmicky sets and we'll go on and discuss some more moves and more things that you can do with Darkrai. So we've got this set here. I have to mention Hypnosis because Hypnosis is actually more accurate than Dark Void. So if you did my strategy with Sableye, with this here, it would actually have high accuracy, but it doesn't actually hit as accurate. Sorry, I just had to sneeze there. It was absolutely massively loud. So, as I was saying, with this Hypnosis set, it's going to give you a little bit of extra accuracy. So, I've got Wide Lens Hypnosis. So, we've got 10% of 60. So, we got 66 accuracy. So, it's kind of rubbish still, but it might be something viable if you have a Gravity user on the field. That could work too. This is just another option. And we've got Nasty Plot. We've got Hex. So we've got Terra Ghost. Terra Ghost isn't actually all that bad on Darkrai 2. I didn't mention that earlier on, but that's not all that bad as well. That can be an option. And it works. It can work well if you've got like a Toxic Spikes user as well with Hex. Or you've got that Sleep. So you can get the Hypnosis, the Sleep, the Bad Dreams to stack with it. And then Hex damage, which is not bad. And then you've got Dark Pulse as well. So those two attacking moves, Nasty Plot set up, special attack. These are the best EVs to run on even in doubles. It's going to be the best EVs to run on attack and special attack. It's not really living any attacks. It's not bulky enough. Yeah, it's not going to do that. So that's the best EVs to give it. Let's have a look at a Pimp Knight special set now. So I have to mention the physical Darkrai. Now, everyone is going to look at its special attack and just completely and utterly forget about its attack. But it actually has some very good attacking moves. So I've used this set before and it actually worked pretty well as Surprise. The main thing about it is it lacks a lot of raw power as a special attacking one does. So it needs some setup. But it does get Sword Dance, which is very impressive. And it also gets a priority move, which is Dark too, which is Sucker Punch. It also gets Drain Punch for any Steel-type Pokemon and Recovery, and it also gets Poison Jab for any Fairy-type Pokemon. So you can either do Terrifying Drain Punch with Life Orb for even extra damage. That can give you some good coverage. And then you've still got Poison Jab for any Fairy-type Pokemon, Sucker Punch for a Dark-type priority move, or you can go Terra Poison as well on there. For Terra Poison, Poison Jab. That can be fine too, but this is you're gonna need as much damage as possible on this set. So that's why I've given it Life Orb and Sword Dance. I haven't given it any sleeping moves like Hypnosis. So I've just gone full attack on it. It's a different set to run, but I've actually tried it and it works pretty well. If you want to check out Pimp Knight Darkrai Sweep on YouTube, I actually did this set and it worked very, very well against some real threatening Pokemon and sets too. So you can check that out if you like. But just another way to run it. It's good Surprise. But once you reveal the set and you've revealed the Surprise, you actually need to make it work then. You can't bring it back in later because you ruin the surprise, right? You need to make use of it then. In comparison to like a raw, nasty plotting Darkrai, which you know what the set is, but it's going to be a threat for the entire battle kind of thing. So let's do a little bit of discussion here on how do we get around Darkrai. Well, if you're worried about getting put to sleep, remember there are a lot of insomnia Pokemon. There's quite a few of them, for sure. So you even got some gimmicky ones like Spidops. Spidops has insomnia. There's not too many that actually get it, but you've got Spidops, Scovelin, so there are ways of getting around that. You also have Pokemon that heavily counter Darkrai. Probably the best counter to Darkrai, in my opinion, is Magearna. This Pokemon is a Steel and Fairy type. So we look at the most prominent set that's used on Darkrai, the nasty plot set. Well, Dark Pulse is not going to do anything. Sludge Bomb is going to do nothing. And Ice Beam is going to do nothing. Effectively shutting down Darkrai. Even if you had Focus Blast, it's still only neutral. So, excellent counter. Best counter in the game, and you can just get a free Soul Heart from it. So, this is in my opinion, this is the number one counter in the game to Darkrai. Unless Darkrai puts it to sleep, that's about it, right? And as you know, its sleeping capabilities are like compromised now because they're really, really low accuracy. So that would be the number one counter in my opinion. Depending on the rule set you're playing, of course. Zamazenta, yep, Zamazenta. That's a good counter to it. Obviously with its shield. Not the other one, but yeah, Zamazenta, absolutely. The Crown version, so Sludge Bomb's going to do nothing, Dark Pulse, nothing, Ice Beam, nothing. So that's a great counter as well. I would say they're the two best counters for Darkrai. If you're having problems with it, you got some other less sort of legendaries and things like that. How about, I'm thinking unaware Pokemon. I'm thinking Clodsire would be a good counter to that. Just off the top, I'm just trying to think what would be good for that. So unaware to ignore the nasty plots. And then the only real thing it can do to you is an Ice Beam. And then if you're Terra Poison, well, it's going to threaten you with Earthquake and drop you. So that's a good counter as well. That's not a bad counter. Probably not the best one, but still an interesting counter. Special defensive walls, let's say like Blissey or Chansey, they're going to be good. They're going to sponge Darkrai's attacks all day, spread status, and not be fun. Even Tyranitar would be a good counter. Unless Darkrai had Focus Blast, then it would be bad for it. Any priority moves as well, like Scissor wouldn't be too bad. But it wouldn't want to take repeated special attacks. More just coming in and finish Darkrai off. So, yeah, there's some counters for you anyway. There's probably more than that. I was even thinking like Arceus Fairy wouldn't be too bad either. That wouldn't be too bad. I am going to do an Arceus guide as well, but it's going to take me a while to do because there's a lot of types. But I know a few people have asked me for that. But yeah, that's another good counter to it. I think we've sort of covered everything there. I tried to give you some in-depth strategies there to maybe try and get it to use its Dark Void again, like with Gravity. That can absolutely work. Let's check out its status moves. So we got Calm Mind. There's not a lot of point using that unless you want extra special bulk. Curse, there's no real point using it unless you're going to go for like a Terra Ghost trapping set or something like that. Unfortunately, it doesn't get mean look, which is weird. But Disable is actually not all that bad. It could be a good move in doubles. It could be a speedy Haze Pokemon, but I think it's better suited for others. Hypnosis can be used over Dark Void because it's more accurate in singles, or you can try it in doubles. You can try it in doubles as well, but remember, you're not going to be able to hit both the targets. The beauty of Dark Void was always bound to hit both of the opponents. So I feel like it's still better than using Hypnosis because you're hitting two. You've got a 50% chance to hit two people rather than having a Hypnosis to hit one person with a 60% chance, if you know what I mean. It does get other interesting things, but it can set weather up. But there's other Pokemon better suited. We've talked about it. Could be a speedy Taunter as well. That's not too bad for doubles. And Sword Dance, well, we looked at the physical set already. Let's look at the special moves. Blizzard, we've sort of gone at that could work maybe on an Ice Team. Dark Pulse, bread and butter, it's always got that. Focus Blast, great for Steel-type Pokemon. Hex wouldn't be bad for Terra Ghost, any entry hazards like Toxic Spikes, and stacking with its Sleep and Bad Dreams. Ice Beam is a great coverage move on it. Nightshade, I don't think it would need to use that because it's not support. Psychic isn't all that bad for fighting types as well. and poison types. That's not all that bad, but I find that hard to fit on there. You might be able to go Terra Psychic Darkrai. That could be interesting, but you're still weak to Bug. But it's not bad because fighting is then not really effective against certain fairy is neutral, so that could be another option. Same as Side Shock, that just makes it like a mixed sweeper instead. Shadow Ball, maybe Terra Ghost. Sludge Bomb, that's a great coverage move, great Terra. Sort of stacks so well with it. Terra Blast, yeah, it's got better moves. Generally, you're only using that if it doesn't actually have that type of move. Charge Beam, no point really. You know, you've got a nasty plot. Dream Eater, if you've got that Gothitelle combination or a combination that Darkrai can trap you in, could be nasty too. Snarl, I sort of looked at that with Throat Spray, and yeah, that's kind of about it for its special moves. Let's look at its physical moves. We've sort of gone over fighting moves like Drain Punch, Focus Punch. That could be interesting with a meme set with Hypnosis and Wide Lens. Then, Bad Dreams of Focus Punch could be fun. Knockoff, Knockoff isn't a bad... it'd be hard to fit it on there, but maybe on one of these sets you could... I don't know, if you weren't running a Nasty Plot set, you could drop it on as a last move, like maybe Nasty Plot. Even Will-O-Wisp could work too, but I don't know. I think there's Pokemon way better suited to that. I think you're sort of kind of wasting your time there. And then you've got some other moves, but they're not all that good. Maybe like hyper-specific throat chops for Sylveon hyper voices and stuff like that, but outside of that, there's not too much there. But that's pretty much it for my Darkrai video. If you enjoyed this, if you got any other movesets, anything to add, please do. If you want to see me do a Pokemon, put it below. I don't mind doing anything, really. I'm sort of looking to do Pokemon that are fully evolved at the moment, or any legendaries, mythicals, whatever. I don't mind. I use all Pokemon, and I know how to use all of them well, so put it below. Overall, Darkrai is a great speedy special attacker, and an excellent mid-game to late sweeper, and can be deadly in doubles when you can get that Dark Void going. Maybe with the strategy that I suggested, but no doubt it was better in the past for that. You didn't have to... You could just press it, but it was... Let's be real, it was broken. Anyway, that's about it. I'll catch you guys next time. Peace.